What doesn't require skill is teaching. Hey, Tuesday, February 4th, regular class as we get farther into our learning things for today with Greek mythology. Let's see, it's been a while. Last week we barely got any Greek mythology because I told you a story about me crying. Today, no stories of me having tears, just good stories about people having issues. Let's see from there. Checkpoint coming up on Thursday. More speeches coming up tomorrow. NWEA will be finishing out. I think that's all the interesting stuff behind me. Pachui, Gesundheit. And then Pachui. Let's see how far we got. So we'll get to the point where all of a sudden you can't answer questions anymore. Chaos goes where?
Every day.
Because what was... Did you say contemplation?
It's like God's
Everything.
Okay. And what was chaos?
Other stuff. Everything.
Pudding.
Thank you, Anjo. I think this is ASL for pudding. Works for me.
It's
So
God.
it was pudding, and then what does chaos create?
Everything.
Nicely done. The first two gods, then from there creates everything. And then we get to Kronos. Where does Kronos go?
God.
Nicely done. And then we have a picture of Kronos in here in the classroom.
Behind there.
Nicely done. Behind Jada. The one up there in the miniskirt. And hopefully we'll get to the story of him coming up soon. And then, let's see, that was Kronos. After Kronos is Hades. Hades goes?
God's faces.
Nicely done. And where's our picture of Hades?
Behind me again.
Nicely done. Was Hades evil?
No.
What was he?
He was like emo.
Thank you. I was going for not hating on you, Anjo. I was so once again not. He was just antisocial, didn't want to talk to people, and also not very creative, because what does he call the place where he lives? Which causes an issue, because what did the Greeks believe would happen if you said his name?
You'll die.
He would bring you to his underworld.
It wasn't so much that you would die, as much as you would get a free vacation.
I want to come back.
Correct. You would just have to be able to kill. So, let's say Juggles accidentally says his name, and he's like, I don't want to go down there. Juggles have to then quickly turn around and stab a fool and be like, take that person. Be like, woo! Saved myself. Except for that whole, soul thing. But who cares about that? Addie!
If he wasn't evil, then why would he bring people down?
That's his job.
Because he's a god.
Well, because that was his home.
But why would they?
Do you not bring people to your house?
That they would call but he would
Hang on.
take them down.
Shh, you don't get to
take them
talk.
down.
To his home.
But isn't that evil? He's basically kidnapping the person.
Yes, but he actually ends up kidnapping a lot of people.
See, that's evil.
No, he's not evil. He's not good at dealing with other people. You know how some people have what are called personal skills, where you're good at talking to other people, and some people are not good at communicating to other people. Hades was not good at... We're going to get to the part of the story coming up where he goes on a date with a girl. And his way on going on a date with a girl is basically throwing a bag over her head, throwing her into a van, and then taking off with her. Because that's what he thinks dating is, because he's not good with people. Not evil, just not very good interacting with people. Yeah.
I like being
Evil is more when you know it's wrong and you do it anyway. He was just more... had issues. He would fit in with this class.
He was not educated.
Underworld!
Place.
Nice. What place is it?
hey.
See, now y'all get to go down there. And then, let's see, we get from there to... Titans goes to...
Gods.
Nicely done. And where are my pictures of Titans?
Up
there.
All those pictures are Titans go to you. And we got to Mercurial.
Other
stuff.
It is actually not Greek. What was Mercurial?
Latin.
Nicely done.
I actually got that right.
Well, apparently.
Genius.
Which god does it connect to?
Hades.
What's his name?
Hermes.
Yeah.
So,
Hermes.
guy there,
Fast
or guys over there. So the idea who is the fast and speedy. And then Olympians goes in.
God.
Thanks.
And so again, where are my Olympian posters?
Over here.
Over there.
Over there.
The big posters are the Olympian ones.
Yeah, over
The
there.
little posters, not as much. And so we'll get to the difference between those in our story coming up.
This is
We got to Atlas with you guys, right?
Yeah.
And Atlas was?
God and
The
strongest titan.
He was the strong one, and what is the thing?
He could carry the world.
The map thing.
Good job. The map thing. Did we get to Styx with you guys?
No.
All right, so we get to sticks then. So taking a look at sticks, let's figure out where you're going to put it. So look on your paper.
Is that a name of a person?
Is it? Well, we're going to find out.
Things.
So let's go with God, place,
Yes.
thing, other stuff. Sticks can go in multiple things depending on how you want to define it. Styx is a river,
Yeah.
but Styx was also a god. So it sort of depends if you consider a river a place because you can go to it, or is it a thing, or do you say a Styx is...
Oh,
So
I
a real...
I put it as a god.
Styx, real quick, the story that goes along with it. There's going to be a big fight that breaks out between Zeus and his father. And in this big war that happens between them called the Olympians versus the Titans, Styx was a Titan who was this great warrior. Wonderful fighter, very impressive. The drawback was she had a horrible personality. She was not a nice person at all. So at the end of the war, Zeus goes and talks to Styx and goes, hey, thank you for helping me. I'm not sure we would have won without you. You were incredibly loyal to me the entire time. The other god tried to get you to switch sides and you wouldn't do it. So I'm going to give you anything you want. Your request, I will make it happen. What would you like for me to do for you? And Styx's request was to become a river. I don't know why, because people have issues. She says, my dream is to be a river. And Zeus goes, a river? And she goes, yeah, you know, splash, 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 splash. And he goes, okay, river it is. He goes, and turns her into a river. And she splashes out and becomes a river. He then takes this river and puts it into a woods at this random place he finds on Earth. The problem was, Styx's personality was so awful and she was so evil and so nasty that the river she turns into becomes poisonous, to the point where any living thing that touched this river died, which ended up being bad because all of a sudden you have this river in the middle of the woods and all of these dead animals that are next to it because they'd come up and try to drink from it, and as soon as they touched it, they'd fall over. So Zeus was, all right, well, we can't have this big poisonous river in the middle of the woods because that's bad, all these animals are dying. So Zeus picks up the river and realizes he has to put it somewhere else. And he can only find one place to put this river where it cannot kill any living people. And that one place would be
The underworld.
where there's no living people. So he takes the river Styx down to the underworld and uses it to separate the underworld from the living world. And thus River Styx becomes this area in the underworld. And again, it's in the picture over here where you see that's Hades there. And then that's supposed to be a river next to him. And that's what's separating the underworld from the above ground world, because it was thought if you touched it, you would die.
Is that the thing that
Quickly on the questions. On Joe.
Wait, is that why like people in the stories like they pledge on the river Styx? Because like if they don't make their pledge, then they go to the
Yep, we're going to guess it. Wait, how am I going to answer that?
we'll
get to that.
That's one of my stories. Yes. Right. Yes.
So,
Like in the movie Hercules, you know how like they have the people in the water?
Yes,
Is that what
yeah,
that is?
kind of. I mean, kind of.
No.
Abby.
I was gonna say, isn't it kind of smart that she made it poisonous because
She did make it
the
poisonous.
drink water should be there forever?
I guess that's a way of looking at it. Sure.
But she didn't.
Yes.
Isn't that where Achilles
Yes.
made into?
We'll get to that also. Scythe. Let's get to that one then. Figure out where you want to put scythe.
Thing.
Let's go with God, place, thing, other stuff. A scythe is a thing.
It's no weapon.
It is. Well, technically, it's a farming tool.
Yeah, it's scythe.
Again, it's up there in what Kronos is holding on to. It's the stick with the big, long, curvy blade on it. If you've seen the Grim Reaper, a lot of times, what he's holding oftentimes is a sickle, which is slightly different. A scythe, stick with bladey thing coming off of it, and a sickle also has a little handle on it. And so that's what they would use. It pops up in one of our stories coming up later this year, where one of the gods uses that to attack another god. Gia. G-A-E-A is Gia. And so figure out where you want to put Gia. Let's go with gods, places, things, other stuff. Gia is Mother Earth. So technically, Gia is a god, and Gia is also a place because you can touch her. But in Greek mythology, you had conversations with her. We're going to get to stories here in a moment where she has conversations with the other gods and communicates with them and stuff like that. So you most definitely could speak with her, but you could also be standing in that spot because it was Mother Earth. And then we have our other one, which is Uranus. So you are so Uranus. Let's go with God, place, thing, other stuff. Uranus is just like Gaia,
Yeah.
except it's the sky.
Wait, isn't it
So it's going to be both a god and it's going to be the sky. You're still there to the end. I know. Right choices. And so on that one, you could actually communicate with the sky and have conversations, but then it was a place that you could go to. So, and as we're going to get to, Gaia and Uranus are married. They're the very first couple to exist. And they're every 7th grader's favorite couple, because you're not going to pronounce them as Gaia and Uranus. You're going to pronounce it as and it's going to make you giggle when you go, wait a minute, the first couple ever was Gaia and Uranus? Yeah, we're going to get used to it. I'm going to pronounce it the Greek way, which is Gaia and Uranus, but every time I do that, you're going to go, don't you mean? Yeah, and it's just going to happen. So I've come to terms with it over my many years of teaching, that how you pronounce it is just different than the actual way. So be it.
You spell Gaia G-A-Y-A.
And that's not how I spell it. That might be how you spell it.
It's
Being
Gaia.
in Greek mythology, you can spell it any way you want to, as long as it sounds right. You're fine. Nike. Let's go with
God. Sorry.
Gods,
Nike was a god.
places,
Yeah, I did
things,
last year.
other stuff.
Victory.
Nike in
It's a
mythology
god.
was a god. So
Is that where they got the
here's
I
your.
did it last year.
If only I had a story. Oh wait, I do. So here's my quick story for you. Nike in Greek mythology was a god. She is a female god, and she was one of the only ones to have wings. Almost every god did not have wings. Even Hermes, if you look at him, does not have wings on him. He had winged shoes he wore, and he had a winged helmet he wore, but he himself did not have wings. There were very few gods with wings. Aphrodite's son over there, that's Eros, otherwise known as Cupid. He had wings, and one of the only other gods to have wings was Nike. Nike was a god of victory. She hung out with Athena, who is the god right here. And by the way, Athena is not tiny, and it's not a giant horse. It's just a bad picture. It's supposed to be perspective, like you learn in art class, where you have her being far away and the horse up close, and she's supposed to be pulling it backwards. But it just looks like a tiny girl and a giant horse. But anyway, Athena was the god of war, and she and Nike were good friends and hung out all the time. And oftentimes, she would bring Nike in with her whenever she wanted to have a winning thing, because you would pray to Nike if you wanted to win a particular thing. Whether it be a war, or whether it be a fight with somebody, or a race, anything that you wanted victory in, you would pray to Nike. Fast forward several thousand years, there is a shoe company that comes out in the 1970s. And they say, if you wear our shoes, you are going to be victorious in everything you do, because our shoes will make you run faster, jump farther, and stuff like that. So they decide to name their shoe company and give it a name, so as soon as you see this name, you know that you will win every time you wear them. The shoe company being Nike. By the way, what is Nike's symbol?
A check mark.
It's not a check mark. It's a swoosh. Now, there's a reason why it's called a swoosh.
It's a J.
Because if you look at a Nike shoe, the Nike shoe, that swoosh, it is not a check mark, but it's supposed to be connected to Nike the God. Because Nike the God was the only one to have
Wings.
So that swoosh is supposed to be a wing as it cuts through the air. And so whenever you see the little Nike symbol, that's supposed to be a wing as it cuts through the air and swooshes back. So the idea was those shoes had wings on them, much like Hermes did, and they were supposed to guide you to victory.
Wait, where is Nike?
She's not up there. She's not a major god. She was just a minor
It's
god.
in your shoes.
So she's just on your shoe. Not your shoe.
No,
His
my
shoe.
shoe. It's on my
Nike
shoe.
is terrible.
Then trident. God, place, thing, other stuff. Well done. Trident is a thing.
Yep.
Now, I have had kids get confused because if you've seen Little Mermaid, her father in Little Mermaid, his name is King Triton. Triton.
Oh,
But that's a different
a
word.
trident is like a fork.
It is. It is
It's
more
more
throwing
Poseidon
fork.
wears.
For those of you who saw the Aquaman movie, it's probably your best. Trident, this Poseidon holding his there. Over this one's a little bit harder to see, but he's holding his trident in that one. Over here, a little bit easier to see with the yellow on blue, the trident. For those of you who have ridden a bicycle, bi meaning two, because it has two wheels. If you've ever ridden a tricycle, how many wheels is a tricycle? Three. So a trident means how many points does it have? And dent, because it literally puts a dent in you. They were not creative.
They do?
And so that's why it's called a trident, because it means if you poke someone with this, you're going to make 3 dents. So they called it a trident. So every once in a while, they're not real creative when it comes to these things. Yes?
So I have a question on this, like,
Faster?
does he just wear normal clothes, or does he have, like, the sea around him?
Depends on the day. Being as that he's make-believe, it's depending on whatever artist wanted to draw it. And then let's go to sacrifices. In sacrifices, gods, places, things, other stuff. Depends on things and other stuff. I'm going to how you want. I put it for other stuff myself. Greeks believed in sacrificing, but not the sacrificing you might think of. Like, they didn't do like the stabbing of a person and the pulling out of a heart and the thumpy. That was a different culture. The Greeks believed in sacrifice, but not humans. You had to either sacrifice food or animals, and that was it. And you would actually sacrifice food, like bread. And I mean, you wouldn't like cut your bread and like pull out the bread's heart and be like bread and like hold it up. But the idea was you would take bread and you would cut it and then you would give it to a god and then not eat it. Be like, I give this bread to Aphrodite. Please make Joey Jojo fall in love with me. He's so adorbs. Yay! And you throw the bread. And so that was your way of sacrificing, saying, I'm not going to eat it, I give it up to someone else. The gods were against human sacrifice. Like if you were to like stab a person and pull out their heart and be like, Zeus! The idea was that Zeus would come down and then kill you, because they did not believe in human sacrifice. And so there definitely some solid smiting happening. Cyclops! Jumping to that one. Let's go with gods, places, things, other stuff. You could technically put Cyclops in gods because they are older than the gods. I put them into other stuff, but I could see them going in either one. For those of you who know Cyclops, I mean, not personally, they probably don't write back to you. But what does the Cyclops look like? And so in the Greek mythology, the Cyclops had just the one giant eye in the middle of their head. The name Cyclops, by the way, breaks down into 2 root words that you can probably figure out.
Cyclops.
The first one, C-Y-C-L, sickle. So not like scythe, but C-Y-C-L as in motorcycle, bicycle. Do you guys know what C-Y-C-L means?
No.
Cycle. The cycle of something.
So bicycle, the B-I means 2, cycle means
Moving.
2 what's?
Wheel.
Good job. Motorcycle means
2 wheels.
motorized what?
Wheels.
Good job. So what does the C-Y-C-L mean?
A pedal.
4 wheels.
Wheel.
Thank you, Leah. Wheels. So we just said the bicycle, B-I means 2, C-Y-C-L means wheel. And I said, what does that mean? And you went, other stuff. No, it means wheel. The OPS, not like black ops, that's a different kind of ops, but the OPS goes through like your optometrist. You guys know what an optometrist is?
Like optometry.
Yes.
It's optometry.
I can guarantee you that Leah goes to an optometrist. And I can also guarantee you that RJB goes to one.
eye.
Nicely done. It means an eye doctor.
What's an ops?
So, sickle means what?
Wheel eye.
Nicely done. Ops means?
Eye.
So they were called a cyclops, not because they had one eye, but because the Greeks thought it looked like someone had taken a wheel, run up to them and just gone whack in the middle of their head and just left a wheel there. So they weren't called one-eyes, they were called wheel-eyed because it just looked like a giant wheel. If they were called one-eyes, they'd be called monoops, but that's just a weird name. On Joe.
Tuna logs.
Wait, I thought in a way they were gods because like in the story they're like the brother of like Poseidon or like.
They're actually technically, yes. They're more uncles, but we'll get to that story coming up soon too. Just like the story of the kid doesn't have his notebook open and keeps losing points even when he's tapping his pencil.
Who's that?
And then we get to Olympus. Let's go to there. For Olympus, you go gods, places, things, other stuff.
Imagine saying places.
Olympus, gods, places. By
Imagine
the
that
way,
being right.
what do you call someone who lives on Olympus?
Oh, Mount
Olympian.
Olympus.
Olympia. So Olympus was just the big mountain in Greek mythology where some of the gods lived. If you lived there, then you were called an Olympian because you lived on Olympus. Prometheus. Gods,
God.
place,
No.
thing, other stuff.
It's other stuff.
It's
A god.
a god.
What?
Prometheus is going to be much like the other. He's an uncle to the other ones. He's an older one of the gods who's been around. He has the ability to foresee the future and then also gets tortured. But he also helps mankind.
Right.
Jada.
Isn't he, okay, can I spoil him?
Sure.
Oh, isn't he the one where,
It's
like,
not really a spoiler. It's a 2,000-year-old story.
okay, when he did something bad, and then Zeus punished him, he, like, be tied, like, by chains to a rock, and evil, like, in his life
Yeah.
over and over again.
We're going to get to that.
And then,
I mean,
like, it's-
spoiler. Jeez. Leave our... AJ.
Right. I watched. Okay. I'll ask later after this.
Yeah.
No.
Yes?
Is it Odysseus? Is the guy who did Stabby Stabby with Cyclops?
Yes. He was the hero.
Like,
Iris!
Like the Titans and
Something like that. Iris! Gods, places, things.
Oh, I did.
It's other stuff too.
It is. Iris is two.
Others
Iris is a god and a thing.
I knew it.
She was the god of rainbows, which we'll
I
get to.
forgot who did
And then the iris is part of your body.
It's part of your eye.
What part of your eye?
Black
It's
part.
inside of your
No, it's the colorful.
It's the color, my bad. That's color.
We
It was
just
named
learned
after
about
the god
this.
of
Oh,
rainbows. And then our last one, Clotho,
Other stuff.
god,
Things.
place,
Things.
thing,
Things.
other stuff.
Things.
Clotho, our last one.
Oh.
These are
Clotho, we're going to find out, is one of the three fates. Clotho, Lachesis, and Atropos. There were three of them. Ooh. If you've seen either Percy Jackson or the
That's what I was gonna
Hercules
say.
one, they're the ones who had like an eyeball that they share and like pass from one to the other, and they like crazy old
Oh,
women
the
witches.
big ears.
So in
Wait,
Greek
you mean
mythology,
like,
it's similar. There's the three of them, and they get to sort of control people's fate when they're going to die and stuff like that. But we'll get to that story coming up. Now that we have finished this part, what's going to happen is next week when we get back into mythology, I believe we have 2 days of mythology next week. Yaysies. The way it's going to work is we get to our first story. The drawback is there's a blue sheet you're going to get there. You're going to have to start filling out. That's going to be your cheat sheet you get to use on quizzes and tests and stuff like that. And we'll get to our first actual story thing from there.
Does that mean we get mini cheat sheets?
You do. I'm going to give you this one, which will help as a cheat sheet. This paper, which was a cheat sheet. And then I'm also going to give you another one that you have to fill out for a cheat sheet. Because the drawback to this unit is there a lot of reading for you to do?
No.
What's going to happen for the most part?
You're gonna
Test.
Me telling you stories. But the problem with me telling you stories when it comes time for a quiz,
We do know.
there's nothing to look back at. I can't say go back and look at the story because the stories...
in your head.
Correct. So I'm going to give you a cheat sheet, sort of like you probably get in like science. You have like to fill a thing out as we go through. It's not quite that boring. Plus, I give you the answers. As long as you pay attention as I do a story, you just write them down. Then when it comes time for the quiz, you get to go back and look at blue sheet. Although for most of you, as long as you're paying attention in class, you probably won't use it a whole lot. For a lot of you, you'll do absolutely fine on this one, just paying attention to me. Others of you who don't like Greek mythology, it's going to be a wee bit more of a struggle. So I'm trying to make it easier for those of you who aren't liking it as much as those who
Imagine
do.
not liking it.
I know, right?
Like, who
Speaking of
could-
not liking things, what are we doing tomorrow?
Speaker 1 part 3.
One word speeches.
And Thursday?
Oh, no, check me.
Nicely done. And Friday?
It's the article about the guy and the girl.
Yeah.
That
he
whack.
Holy cocks this girl.
Wait, the video.
The 50-year-old guy.
I don't want to say such things. You never know.
I want to watch the video.